What I want to show you next is how you can add an image to those users as their default image. As you can see, whenever this data comes back to us, we don't get an image for those users or anything like that. So maybe we want to show some default image for the user or profile image until the users can actually go into the system and then update their picture. So I'm going to be using this API called RoboHash. And what it does is you give it any string and it's going to generate some random picture of a robot. So for instance, if I go here and then I say user, and then press enter. Oops, maybe I already did that, so let me refresh. You see the picture is different. So now if I say something like user, enter, and then you see it gives me a different picture. So for whatever like string you give it, it's gonna give you a different picture. So let's say we wanna use this and then generate some random pictures like you can see here, and then give them to the user at random, and then later, well, maybe you might not wanna give them that one. And then later they can come in and then change their information. And this is something that happens a lot. So let's go ahead and copy this URL. And let's say we go into the application, and I'm gonna just define it on top here. I can define it as a read-only. And let's say this is the default image. And then we're gonna set this to the string, just like that. Okay, so now we can, well, I don't think I need this. So read-only, and it's gonna be here so that we can't change this value later. So now what we can do is we can just add it to this as a new attribute to this object. We can either go in here and create another, let's say this is a string and this is something like image, and we can just use that, or we can just add one directly here and it's still gonna work. Okay, so but we can do it that way as well. We can define this image, which is optional because we know sometimes we're not gonna have it, and then we can just set it by some default image. So here I can just say image because that exists. Oops, not this image, and then set this equal to whatever value that we want. So remember, we call this image, so the name has to be the same. If we pass in something else, then it's just gonna add it to that object. If you put in the same attribute that already exists, it's just gonna override it. As you can see, we're doing with the name, username. We don't have two username or two name. It's just gonna override it. So let's say here, what we want to do is we wanna call this, let's say we're gonna call our string. So we're gonna say this, and we want the default image, and then we're gonna add in the username inside of that as well. And then we can do / and then we need to get the user. So whatever user, get their username, and we have to put this to lowercase, otherwise it won't work. It has to be lowercase, and then pass it like this. So you can see we're passing in a new attribute to this user, and that's their image. Okay, and then we can use that in the UI so that we can show the image of the user by just using this right here. So we can go into the component, and I already had something for the image, which is I think right here. So I'm gonna uncomment that. Oops, go here and uncomment that, and that's gonna be their picture, and then I think it's right here. So I can just uncomment this. Okay, and that's gonna be just the image. Earlier I named it image URL. Okay, so that way we have a picture for the user, and then we just bind it to the source attribute on that img tag. So now if we go back and we don't see the pictures, so let's go back. Oops, this is image URL, so this is supposed to be image. All right, just like that, because that's the property that we'll define here. You can see image, so it has to match image. And then we go back, you can see now they all have some random robot image here. So you can see how you can take some plain data and then manipulate it, make it a lot more interesting. And you can do like all kinds of things with this. So I hope that was helpful to you, and I'll see you in the next one.